Hello again, YouTube. Lovell Hawes, prior enlisted Marine, history buff, and overall just somebody who does a lot of research. And in the wake of the recent news with mass shootings, this video is going to be relevant to that topic. And let's start off with the question, or that I'm going. Well, it's going to be an explains why video. And I'm going to explain why the gun lobby honestly doesn't have. The anti gun lobby does not have half a clue about what it's talking about. Joe Biden recently made the analogy of what do you need 30 rounds for? What are the deer running around with Kevlar vest? Since you hunt with rifle, Kevlar wouldn't make a difference anyway, first off. Even if you did put Kevlar on a deer, it wouldn't make sense. You'd have to have what we call in service SAPI plates, small arm protective inserts. There's ceramic plates that each one can stop one rifle round. One. And even then, if it is the wrong rifle round, it'll still penetrate what is at that point class 4 body armor, and you're still done. And it doesn't stop you from having a well aimed shot placed outside of where those ceramic plates are, and you still end up doing damage anyway. Yeah, it's like, for example, I wore a Kevlar helmet, and I wore class 4 body armor. Well, in all honesty, if that rifle round had come in, say right here, hit my nose, I'd be a goner. In fact, I'd be dead before I hit the ground, because that's where the brainstem is. Yeah, so the people that are talking about getting Kevlar vests for their kids and Kevlar backpacks, that'd be useful for maybe 9mm fire pistol rounds. Pistol rounds only. 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP, and that's only if you get hit in the area where you've got the armor. So, that ain't gonna stop, say, 5.56, 308, 7.62, and it's certainly not gonna stop some of the bigger calibers like 338 Lapua or, say, 50 cal BMG. I mean, if somebody could actually stand off at a distance with a 50 caliber BMG, and even if you did have the Kevlar backpacks or vests, the 50 caliber BMG would go through multiple people before it even slowed down for coffee. And it's like, okay, so, and addressing the 3D printed guns, even if there was what are you gonna do? Because it could be made at home. And I mean, so even if you could, what could you do? What legally can you do? Because it goes back to something that we know already, that a lot of us who are still very much pro Second Amendment know already. If you ban a gun, even if you ban it to infinity, even Star Trek 5 understands this. It said it quite plainly. In on a planet called Paradise 3, there was representatives from the Klingons, Romulans, and Federation that were right there. That was supposed to be the planet of galactic peace. The locals were forbidden weapons, and the Federation human representative pointed out they simply fashioned their own. And yes, most Trekkies like to forget Star Trek 5 was a thing, but it was actually one I didn't find as big of a problem when I was a kid. I see the issues now. I still don't see where it has that much of a problem with the with my enjoyment factor of it, because there were some good parts. But even then, it's like Gene Roddenberry was alive when that happened, and he even understood. You ban the gun, people make gun. It doesn't change a thing. Which is part of the reason why the 3D printed is there anyway. Is happening anyway. First, simply because of the fact that some of these people are just going around the background checks. And even if they didn't do that as going around their background checks, they could still be, say, a machinist and machine the parts themselves. It's not that difficult. It's like you can actually get a job as a machinist with just a high school degree if you really want to try with a machinist operator. Your career advancement options will be a little slower than somebody like, say, my little brother, who actually spent some time at a community college learning this stuff. So, but he's advanced from operator to CNC programmer to just general programmer. In fact, now he's in a position where he can actually tell some of the project managers what's up. But thing is he can still go back out into the shop, and if he wanted to, he could craft a fully operational AR-15 in his shop. And it wouldn't be a problem for him at all. And I was like, so even if you did ban that AR-15, it wouldn't make a bit of difference. And that is the nature of a lot of the gun laws. It makes no difference at all. It's like Class 3 firearms license, where it effectively bans you from having a full automatic capable weapon at all, unless you happen to get this specific license. It has been no help at all. There have been full automatic crimes done before and after, all of them stolen. Bonnie and Clyde committed crimes with Browning automatic rifles, and they stole them from a Texas National Guard armory. Al Capone and his boys often used, well, Thompson submachine guns, and they stole them as well. And after the Class 3 firearms license was implemented, the North Hollywood shootout happened, and the weapons were straight up illegal in the first place. They had no legal reason to have them. They were illegally modified. And there you go. So, and even if you don't have the way around it, so banning the weapon does not make a difference. They'll just find a way around it. There's no reasonable way that any bans on the gun laws will happen at all. Not to mention, most of these people, again, armor doesn't make much of a difference. And for those of you who are going, you're pro-life, but you're pro-2A, you can't claim to be pro-life, that is a non sequitur. It's comparing apples to oranges. Because even if you let the right have everything on both subjects, guess what? There's more people living. It's like straight up, even if you made it a Republican wet dream on that, there'd be more people born than there would be guns on the street, because after all, it addresses both issues. Because one prime example was where there was an attempted mass shooting at a church. I think maybe 1-2 people died, and the rest of the congregation had pistols pointing right back at the guy ready to shoot. They were just all waiting for their shot, waiting for a clear line of fire so that way they could fire. One of them did take the shot, took the suspect down. And even Canada occasionally gets it right. It's like there was one person who attempted to do a mass shooting at Parliament in Canada. And the sergeant of arms happened to have his pistol on hand nearby. He shot the shooter before hardly. So it was actually. So the sergeant of arms actually had arms. So that was rather freaking nice. It proves the example. And Canada's gun laws are far more restricting than ours. And it proves our example. If somebody who is dead set on stopping the violence is armed, they will find a way they will stop the violence quickly and efficiently. They will in some cases, they will be, it's like, I honestly think that what we need to consider doing is because a lot of the homeless veterans, and this is a lot of them just need a purpose in life again. So I would suggest seeing how many of them would voluntarily take up the job of protecting our schools, because some of them, that's all they need is a purpose in life, and they are exceptionally well trained in this regard, and they would gladly throw themselves into the line of fire because they're looking at the future. It's like they know, quite a few of them know they are the past. They've signed that blank check before. Any veteran has signed a blank check, cashable at any time by Uncle Sam, to the value of up to and including their life. And they've already know that the choice they made as far as a military career might include ending their life prematurely. And they've accepted that. And quite a few of them won't have a problem with doing it again because they fell on rough times. They just need a purpose. They need a hand up to be able to get back out there, to not be homeless, to have a life. Couple that with that's an actual solution. So you've got people who are well trained, who need the purpose, who are given a purpose, and are quite capable of defending these children. Another solution, this one is a longer term solution. As I still maintain that it would be perfectly acceptable if that every student possible we train them in Hapkido. It is a pacifist martial art where not only are you taught to respect yourself, but even while you're defending yourself, your opponent is to be respected as well. It is a lot of joint and nerve manipulation. It is a pacifist martial art. And this goes back to one of the things that I honestly believe is a problem, is we don't respect each other anymore. A prime example of this was when my grandfather was still in school. It was the 50s. Well, in the 50s, you could actually be going to school, go home after school, grab a .22 caliber rifle, go back to school because they had a target shooting range and you could target shoot after class if you wanted to relax a little bit. Just shoot little .22 caliber rounds at paper targets. But look at the time that the 50s was. Everybody was more respectful of one another. Everybody dressed sharply, and I'm not exactly presenting the best example right now because I don't actually like a comb. I'm about to have a haircut, so. But they combed their hair, they dressed neatly, so they respected themselves. But they also respected everybody around them. It's like it's like they said, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. To everyone. They respected everyone. And they respected themselves. Unless somebody gave them a reason not to respect them anymore, they respected them. And even then, It would have to be certain extreme circumstances before they would do too much more than have, well, I'm not very fond of that person, come out of their lips. So, I maintain that respect for each other is a huge problem, hence why I suggest the Aikido. It is a long-term solution. It would take 13 years before the first of the people who've spent their lifetime or spent their entire time in public school would actually graduate with Aikido, with the tenets of Aikido being involved. In all honesty, it would actually also cut back on some other issues. For example, if you were martial arts trained and somebody came up to you with a knife, you could disarm the mofo and not get robbed by the person with a knife. It would also cut back on egregious crimes like rapes, because it's harder to be overpowered by somebody if you know about the weaknesses of the person conducting the rape and can successfully exploit them. And at the same time, just knowing these people are going to be effectively without weapons in their hands, they are still armed and dangerous, would actually cut back on these crimes, because I've heard it straight from a guy who went to prison on arms dealing charges. He said it himself. If he knew there was a 7-Eleven on one side and a convenience store on the other, and he knew the convenience store had a gun, he'd go, and he was going to commit a robbery, he would go to the 7-Eleven. Because of the fact he didn't want to get shot. So, taking weapons away from people who've done nothing to deserve them taken away does nothing. Absolutely nothing to address the violent crime issue, and actually can arguably make the problem worse, simply because of the fact that now these people who are committing the crimes now know there's more victims to draw from. So, banning the weapon not only is worthless, it's worse than worthless. It's another one of those feel-good measures, and I may have another video that I'm going to probably put up in this one is going to be, the next one might be a calls bull video, honestly, because of the fact that I call bull on feel-good measures. It feels good to raise the minimum wage. It feels good to ban these weapons. It feels good to require people to wear masks. I'm going to tear those apart because I'm getting a little tired of them. But in the meantime, I've been Lovell. You guys have been awesome. And I hope you guys are having a good day.